What's up everyone? Alex here. You don't need to wait until the reviews of Lunar Remastered Collection are out to find out what makes this collection special. In this video, I'm gonna go over not just the things you can expect to be different from this version of Lunar 1 and 2, but also the story setup for these two games for those who have never played them before. As I said in my previous videos, Lunar Silver Star Story is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time, and when you hear the premise for both titles, I'm sure you'll want to play these games back to back once they have come out. So let's start with that. The story of Lunar Silver Star Story casts you as Alex. No, not me. Alex is an aspiring Dragon Master who wishes to become a great hero like the legendary Dragon Master Dyne. He sets off on a seemingly innocent quest to retrieve a precious gem in a nearby cave, only to be thrust into an adventure that pits him and his friends against an evil emperor who wants to rule the entire world. Admittedly, this story sounds quite a bit generic. But what's so great about Lunar Silver Star Story is how it ramps up from a childlike tone and motif to something grand and epic. And admittedly, there's not a lot of RPGs that feel like that these days. Lunar Eternal Blue, on the other hand, picks up 1,000 years after the events of the previous game. You play the role of hero, as you set off on a journey with your friends to seek out the goddess Althena, alongside a mysterious girl named Lucia. What's crazy about the sequel is that Lucia is seen by many as this harbinger of destruction, which makes this game's initial premise a little darker and less childlike than its predecessor. Nonetheless, the plot twists and turns in such incredible ways that it also incorporates your knowledge of the first game into it. That makes it so much more impactful to play these two games back to back. Collectively, based on data collected over the years, it takes roughly about 63 hours to finish both games, with an average of 27 hours clocked to complete Lunar Silver Star Story, and Lunar Eternal Blue taking an average of about 36 hours. Setting aside the initial premises of both of the games in the collection, let's talk about what's new with the Lunar Remastered Collection. First and foremost, the remastered versions of Lunar Silver Star Story and Lunar Eternal Blue use the original PlayStation releases as its baseline. There was a question of whether or not the PSP version was going to be used, but I've confirmed that the PS1 versions are being enhanced for this remaster. That said, the remastered version of these titles will feature widescreen support, revamped PS1 pixel art, and upscaled higher quality animated cutscenes, though they'll still be in 4:3 format. For purists, you can select between classic or remastered graphics. I just love games that have this feature. With regards to voice acting, Lunar Remastered Collection will feature brand new Japanese and English voiceovers, with fully voiced attacks and spellcasting by both the main cast and your opponents. Also new are 2 additional subtitle language choices in French and German. So welcome, my French and German RPG friends. There's also talk about quality of life features, and from what I can tell, these both have to do with combat. Much like other remasters, the 2 Lunar games will now feature the ability to fast forward during combat. This should make the alleged completion times I mentioned earlier a bit faster. And the other quality of life feature adjusts how the AI option works during battle. I've always treated this option more like auto battle in some games, but I'm quite certain that this adjustment is just to ensure that the characters are in range when initiating attacks and spells. And that's really it. Because the remasters are based on the PS1 versions, you'll be able to see enemies meandering about on the field, with the same streamlined and balanced systems in place that made those versions the best out of any that were made before or after. And it won't be long now until we get to play this amazing duology, as Lunar Remastered Collection is scheduled to come out on all modern platforms on April 18th with an MSRP of $49 US. Not bad. Physical editions of the game are available exclusively on Amazon for $54.99 USD, and Gung Ho has mentioned that they'll continue to produce physical copies as long as there's demand for them. If you played both of these games before, tell us what you're looking forward to seeing in this remastered collection. If you've never played these games, tell us what's interesting you about these games. Either way, post your thoughts in the comments below and let's talk about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.